Hello, welcome to another episode of Campus Connections. I'm Hannah Arnold, and today I'm joined by John Kaufeld, and he hosts Spielfreaks game night at PFW every first Friday of the month.
You got it. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm alarmingly good today.
That's good. um, so I kind of wanted to start with how did you come up with Spielfreaks as the title of the game night?
Wow. Actually, I inherited the name. So Spielfreaks originally started elsewhere in town. And the guy who started it ran it for a number of years. He'd started it with a team, and then gradually everybody, went off their different ways. And he looked up one day and he's like, I can't do this by myself anymore. And luckily I said, hey, I can. So my kids and I actually took it over and we brought it to campus. But yeah, the name loosely is German. Spiel is German for game. And then freak is just, English for anyone who's really into something, which might well be me.
Yeah. How long have you been hosting it at PFW?
We are in our 9th year here on campus. Yeah, we moved in and we took a break during COVID because didn't everybody?
Yeah.
And then restarted. And this right now Spielfreaks is running about 60 to 80 people for every event. So we're really happy with that.
That's really cool. Do you see a lot of like past people or like newcomers to the events?
It's a great question. We've got a good mix. So we are a unique event because we partner with WellRec here on campus, but we're open to the community. So we get a lot of just people from Fort Wayne who are coming, as well as a lot of students, both Purdue students and IU Fort Wayne students. So it's an interesting mix, and yeah, there's quite a core of regular attendees, both among our community people and our students.
Okay. Can you describe like what the environment at the event is like?
Oh, sure, sure. We gather in the basement of Walb. We always like to tell people we're in the Walb atrium, which is downstairs by the piano. And then everybody goes, oh, that's got a name, that space? Yes, it has a name. Basically, people come about 7 o'clock on a first Friday every month and start filtering downstairs. A lot of people are bringing bags with a whole bunch of games that they either want to play or they're open to other people playing. It's a very friendly environment because we love playing board games, playing tabletop board games. And when somebody comes, inevitably I run into them first because it's kind of my job as the host. But I talk to them. I try to find out a little bit about like how did they find out about us, get them engaged in something, and then they're kind of off and running. Because we have a basic rule at Spielfreaks, which is if it gets brought, it gets taught. So if I bring a bunch of games and somebody goes, ooh, Diamant, that looks really cool, then like, hey, let's play Diamant. I'll teach you how to do it. And really, that's the vibe of the whole thing. It's a lot of fun. It's a very friendly, safe, welcoming environment for everybody. That's really what tabletop games do.
Yeah, that's really cool. That sounds like a fun place to be.
It is.
Do you bring a lot of your own games, or do you just kind of let other people bring their games?
Oh, I pack in about 20 games every month. We've got some folks that bring like a couple of really big bags. My game bags are pretty decently sized, but yeah, I try to select things that I know will be fast to learn, fast to play. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about board games. When you think board game, inevitably you think Risk, you think Monopoly. Some people think Clue or Scrabble, and those are good games, but they are very American games. American board games often are built around a direct competition. So you win, I lose. That is the competition. You really can't have a friendly game of Monopoly. But a lot of the games that we play come from the European game tradition, specifically Germany and Italy, where the games, instead of being direct competition, they are what we'd call indirect competition. So you and I are both playing the same game. We are engaged in the same thing. But I can cheer you on because you being ahead doesn't mean that I'm behind. We're just doing our thing together. And then at the end, we look at victory points or whatever other measure the game uses, and that's how we figure out who won.
That's really cool. So
Yeah.
are they more like do you kind of follow a storyline as you go through the game, or like?
That's a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the game. Carcassonne and Lost Cities, for instance, some of the ones that I have here. In
Mm-hmm.
Carcassonne, you are building a map of a kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So on your turn, you draw a tile and you place it somewhere on the board, and that's how you're not only building the story, as it were, building the map of the kingdom, but then on that tile, now I can put somebody, and that's how I'm going to score based on that tile. Maybe I'm going to score because there's a road on the tile that will connect, and I can put my guy on the road as a robber on the road. Or maybe there's a city, and I can put one of my guys in the city, and he becomes a knight protecting the city. So there's all these different ways to score in the game. Likewise, Diamant is basically the first 15 minutes of the original Indiana Jones movie. You're in this temple and you are exploring, and things are trying to scare you out of the temple. So it's very push your luck, very easy to play because your basic decision is stay or go. That's it. So I'm either staying and I'm risking, I'm going because I've gathered enough treasure and tea is calling me from the camp.
So how do you decide what games you're gonna play if people bring like their own games? What's your process?
That's
with that?
an intriguing question. It's very loose. So sometimes we'll have a couple of people who will get together beforehand, like we have a Discord channel, we have a Facebook group, and they'll connect on there. Somebody says, hey, is anybody gonna bring this game? Literally last week, somebody just poked up on the group and said, hey, is anybody got a copy of Gnome Hollow? I'd really like to play that. And so somebody brings Gnome Hollow, and yay, you learn. What often happens is somebody will bring a game that, again, somebody else is like, ooh, Ark Nova, I've wanted to learn Ark Nova. Can somebody teach me? We've just got a bunch of people who maybe talked at the last game night. One of my favorite games is called Acquire, which is actually a 50-year-old game now. It just got reprinted in an anniversary edition. And the month before, we were talking about stuff, and somebody said, did you bring Acquire tonight? It's like, no, man, I didn't. I'm sorry. Well, bring it next month. Let's play. So brought it again, and boom, we suddenly had a group of 6 people that were learning to play Acquire.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite memory from like the event, kind of?
Oh man, probably my favorite times are when we get a lot of international students who are coming, and sometimes they're unsure, and I totally get that. So we just work really hard to get them involved fast, get them involved in something that's fun and easy to learn. A lot of the games also are language free, so there's no extra text to read on the card. As long as you can look at the card, maybe some of them have icons. As long as you understand what the card's trying to communicate, then you can play, and there's no language barrier. And that's been a huge thing, because once we eliminate that, then just the act of sitting down and playing together, builds kind of a funky trust, which actually we were talking beforehand about comm, and that was actually my study for my comm masters, was on tabletop board games and specifically parenting, and how German board games, European board games can foster communication amongst parents and kids.
That's really cool. What first got you like into playing games like this, and like how did you discover your love?
How did I get here? I'm really fond of saying that a Monopoly game fell on my head when I was a kid. I'm not sure that's 100% true, but that's the story I'm going with.
Yeah.
I am on the autism spectrum, and sometimes it's hard for me to work with somebody else, to interact with somebody else. And over the years, I found that if I just have to sit down and talk to you, then that's going to be really stressful for me. But if I can sit down at a table with you and we can play a game together, then I had a much easier time connecting with you and talking to you because we were both focused on something else. And then our interaction just, it felt much more normal to me, and it was something that I could do. And that just, it grew over time. I found that I'm kind of a systems person because part of my background is also computer system design. So I found that how the board games function was very fascinating to me because sometimes I'd sit down at a game and somebody else would go, "Oh man, this is so much fun." And I'm kind of looking at it going, okay, so we've got worker placement, we've got a card draw system, we've got this, there's kind of odds on that. This is the only luck element. Okay, yeah, this is kind of cool. I like what they did here. So from there, I got involved in this, and then through my kids, I got involved more in role-playing games. So still love the creativity of that, but yeah, I find I always go back to my board games too.
Do you play a lot of games with like your kids?
Oh, yes. Yes. My youngest is currently a sophomore here, and Dell helps me run game nights. We also write a column in a national magazine. We write a game review column every month. So yeah, Dell and I spend a lot of time we'll play games together. We'll get together with their friends on campus and play. Yeah, it's one of the ways that Dell and I connect.
That's really sweet. That's nice. So you have a connection with your kids and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Is there anything I haven't asked that you'd like to share about either playing games or like the event itself?
That's a great question. We do meet first Friday of every month, 7 to 11 p.m., Walb Union, downstairs by the piano. We do have occasional off meetings, like we'll meet in the middle of a month or we'll meet at an extra meeting at the beginning of the school year. And on those nights, we'll partner with, say, WellRec, or we'll partner with another department on campus, and they provide pizza, so it's like pizza and game night, which is kind of cool. But always first Friday of every month, even during the summer, even during holiday break, we are always there first Friday of the month. So, and we always love to have new people. You know, one of the fun things about Fort Wayne is Fort Wayne actually is a huge board game town. Not just as hobby, but professionally. We're home to one of the largest dice importers in the country. We are home to one of the largest game distributors in the country. We're home to warehousing and offices for, I believe, 5 or 6 different board game companies. So there's just a lot of interest. And we have a ton of local game stores. There are, I think, currently 6 local game stores that are just small stores focused on board games, card games, Magic the Gathering, role-playing, all kinds of things like that. Where Fort Wayne is a very game-rich community.
That's really cool. I think that wraps up the interview. I don't have anything else to ask.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Campus Connections. I'm Hannah Arnold.